All right, so let's talk about activity number 1. Activity number 1 is we are going to be working on retraining your pelvic floor to relax, to just learn how to turn off your pelvic floor muscles. Especially our pain patients who are having pelvic floor pain, they may not know it, but they might have a very tight pelvic floor that's on all the time. And we usually have less awareness of our pelvic floor than our other muscles in our body. The analogy that I like to use here that will help you hopefully understand what I'm getting at is people who carry tension in their upper traps. So these are your upper trap muscles right here. And a lot of people, when they get stressed or tense, or maybe they're in a rush, they start tensing up in their upper trap muscles. And maybe they're getting pain through their neck and headaches. That is a very similar concept to what people do in their pelvic floor. You may not know it, but a lot of people hold tension in their pelvic floor. When they get stressed out, when they're in a rush, maybe they're just going, maybe they're working hard, they end up holding a lot of tension in their pelvic floor. And that muscle is always in a on state. It's always contracted tight and it never relaxes. And with a lot of our pelvic pain patients, this is the case. And some of our patients may not be having pain, but they still have what we call a high resting tone. And that pelvic floor is always on. And so they need to learn how to relax their pelvic floor. Part of this activity is just learning to connect with your pelvic floor and having that awareness. Is my pelvic floor on or is it off? Is it relaxed or is it tight? And just having that awareness is activity number 1. So we are going to retrain your pelvic floor to relax when it doesn't need to be tight, contracted, and on. It needs to be able to do both. And if it's always in an on state, then we need to learn how to turn it off. So how do we do that? Well, if we go back to the analogy of your upper traps being tense or holding a lot of tension. When I walk into my husband's office and I notice that his shoulders are creeping up towards his ears, I will often just come up behind him and gently put my hands on his shoulders. And he instantly has the reaction of dropping his shoulders and relaxing. And you can see his whole body just respond to that little bit of feedback that I'm giving him. And him reminding himself to relax his upper trap muscles and drop his shoulders is the same idea that I want you to work on with your pelvic floor. One of the ways you can do this is thinking about if you, for instance, had to go to the bathroom really bad, you need to void, but you have to hold it. Maybe you're in a long car ride, or maybe you're at a baseball game. I don't know. You need to hold it for a long time, let's say 3 hours. And you've been holding it, and you cannot wait to go to the bathroom. And you finally get home. You finally go to the bathroom. You're all alone, you're in your bathroom. There is nothing about this scenario that's not relaxing, okay? You go, you sit on the toilet, and you finally go, ah. That is the moment that we want to capture, what that feels like to you. So try to imagine what it feels like to have it tight, holding it. All you can think about is going to the bathroom, and then you finally get there and you relax. That's what it feels like to relax your pelvic floor, similar to the person that's doing this, and then they go, ah. Okay? So that little ah moment, that's what we want to capture. And we want you to remind yourself to do that throughout the day and become more aware of when your pelvic floor is tightening up. So start paying attention. Basically, that's what you gotta do. You gotta start paying attention to your pelvic floor. When is it starting to tighten up? Is it when I'm doing dishes? Is it when I'm having a confrontation with my lovely children? Maybe it's when I'm out working in the garden and it's getting really tight and painful. Maybe I need to take a break and go lay down on the couch for a minute and just do a little bit of relaxation. that can be very helpful, especially, I've said it before and I'll say it again, if you're having pelvic pain, this activity is really important. But even if you're not having pelvic pain, I really encourage you to work on your pelvic mobility. Let's work on being aware of our pelvic floor and learning how to relax it when it needs to be relaxed. It doesn't need to always be on and tight. There are times where that pelvic floor needs to relax. If you're having incontinence, some people who are having incontinence start to have a lot of anxiety about leaking. And because they're having this anxiety with leaking, they want to always have those muscles on because they're nervous about leaking. And that actually starts to work against them because, again, you get in this mid-range zone where you're not all fully contracted and you're not fully relaxed. You're just always in this tight, tense state. And we got to break out of that. So hopefully I haven't gone overboard and said too much here today. I feel like I'm talking too much today. But the idea is to retrain your pelvic floor. Get more awareness of when it's tense and when it's relaxed. And let's increase that relaxation time. Let's, throughout the day, think about, is our pelvic floor tight and can I relax it? Can I go to that moment? Okay, so that's activity number 1. Activity number 2 is quick flicks. So quick flicks is a light, gentle contraction of your pelvic floor muscles. This is not a full-on forceful contraction. It's very gentle, light, and quick. And you're gonna try to just, if you remember, when we talked about anatomy, I don't have our muscle model here today, but if you can remember those pelvic floor muscles that we looked at, and part of those pelvic floor muscles is a figure 8 that goes around all your orifices, okay? Your urethra, your anus, it kind of goes around them. And when you're thinking about doing a quick flick, you're thinking about gently closing those and then opening them right back up, okay? We often call this winking with your pelvic floor. That's how light and gentle it should be. And we're gonna try to do 10 of those in a row. So when we do biofeedback and you can see your contraction on the screen, it would look just like this. Boop, 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 boop. And you're gonna do 10 of those in a row. So it's really squeeze, let go, squeeze, let go, squeeze, let go, squeeze, let go. So try that at home right now. See if you can do a quick flicks. And the reason we do those quick flicks, it's not for strengthening. We're actually trying to connect your brain with those muscles. And by connecting it better and by your body understanding how to contract those muscles, it'll actually be able to relax them better. So if you're having trouble with activity number 1, by doing activity number 2, the quick flicks, you actually might have more success being able to relax them. Your body also, after doing 10 of these quick flicks, will want to relax them. Because after doing 10 quick flicks, it's already turned those muscles on, now it wants to turn them off. So hopefully, if you can do 10 of those quick flicks, you'll actually have a better and easier time relaxing those pelvic floor muscles and bringing down your resting tone. So throughout the day, when you start feeling that pelvic floor tension increasing, then you're gonna do 10 quick flicks and then try to relax those pelvic floor muscles. And don't do this more than 10 times a day. I always have to throw that in there for the person that is trying to do these all day long. That might be a little bit too much. So, several times throughout the day or as you catch your pelvic floor tensing up, just do 10 quick, light contractions and then try to relax the pelvic floor. And we find with patients in the clinic, when we do the biofeedback and we're having trouble having the patient relax their pelvic floor muscles and getting that resting tone to drop off, if we do 10 gentle, light contractions and then we tell them to relax, that resting tone will just drop right off. So hopefully this will help you too at home. And if you're still having trouble relaxing your pelvic floor, you might be a good candidate for biofeedback. It can be helpful for those people that are having a hard time connecting with that part of the body and wondering if they're even able to relax it. Biofeedback can be helpful, But for a lot of people, it's not necessary. A lot of people, if you practice this for a couple weeks, you will have a lot more awareness of your pelvic floor and ability to control it, whether that's contracting or relaxing. So that's activity number 2, is 10 quick flicks throughout the day.